Hello, I'm Mantastic'c and Fantastic, and today I want to talk about the 10 Magic Stone new Fest exclusive celebration Godfest that has just gone live in North America. So, as a baseline general statement, Super Godfest will feature at worst 33% chance to acquire any Godfest exclusive. And if my counting wasn't wrong, and I counted like 5 times, the number of Godfest exclusives, or the chances of rolling any Godfest exclusives, equals 33% or 1 in 3, or the lowest we possibly can go. I cannot recall a Super Godfest, at least within recent times, that have had this low rolling rates, but that's not surprising because it is the debut event of Blackbird, who is one of the strongest leaders in the game. In my personal opinion, he's also the coolest looking transforming card. Like, I don't know, I just think his aesthetics look the nicest overall. So Gung Ho is definitely trying to gouge players, so to speak, with a poor rolling rates Godfest to entice people to get Blackbird. Blackbird will be available moving forward probably in the next many Godfests. There's a good chance it will have hopefully higher rolling odds because this is kind of as low as we really can go. And while we do have the chance of getting the 3, 4, and 5 rem draws, there's no 10 draw available, unfortunately, and they only comprise 1% of the rolling pool. So in theory, the total chances of getting something truly magical, in my opinion, are 34%. This is quite saddening overall, and I really don't feel like this is a good time to spend stones because, like, for myself, if you've been watching my pad journey for a while, you'll notice that I just skip many events. I just save my stones and I keep hoarding and building up. And then when the seasonal Super Godfest came that I was interested in, when the Player's Choice Godfest came that had incredible rolling rates, I went super hard and I did great. Because when you play with high rolling odds and you have a bigger pool of stones to play with, you tend to eventually get closer to the expected rolling rates and therefore become much happier and advance your progress. So, in my opinion, I don't think this is a good Godfest to actually roll in just because the rates are so poor. But with that being said, let's take a look at Blackbird to see why they are so cool and magical. So, like Royal Oak, Nautilus, Seawolf, and Daytona, he is a multi-step transforming card that starts on a 25-turn cooldown, and then will be 6 turns, and then once he's in his final form, it's a 2-turn cooldown, so you just alternate between leader and leader. So, follows a similar template in that sense. They lack bind immunity, so you will have to inherit something that gives bind immunity, assuming you're playing the vast majority of dungeons. So again, not much has changed. If we look at their awakenings, they give you 2 seconds of movement time, which is cool. They have super blind resist, which is technically wasted with a symmetrical pairing, but symmetrical pairing is the most efficient way to play Blackbird. Like, Boros is definitely an alternative pairing, but double Blackbird is just a superior choice overall. So we have that. We have 2 enhanced dart combos, which will drastically improve our damage output. And remember, Blackbird himself, well, your friend Blackbird, will also have it. So you have 4 already from your 2 leaders. Maybe your subs have some. And then you have double 10 combo VDP. And double 10 combo VDP is by far the best and most efficient damage awakening setup possible. It only takes 3 awakenings and you're guaranteeing yourself huge amounts of damage. And then looking at his active skill, you get an attack buff bonus based on the number of 10 combo awakenings on the team. This is problematic in the sense because we're not going to have many 10 combo awakenings on a given team. It's just not common. Like, the most we've ever seen on a given card is 3, and even then that's incredibly rare. Most likely it's 2 in most cases, and you can't get 10 combos through weapon assist, so his attack multiplier buff will definitely be on the lower end. Nautilus's attack multiplier buff, Daytona's attack multiplier buff tends to be some of the highest because you have tons of Woodrows and you have tons of TPAs respectively, so it's going to be a little bit lower in that sense. But if we look at the leader skill, it's a 484 times attack multiplier, which is definitely quite healthy. And you have to remember, every dart combo is going to add significant amounts of bonus damage due to these enhanced dart combo awakenings. And then for the rest of the leader skill, he has the same effective health as Daytona, so lower than Nautilus, Seawolf, and Royal Oak. And that can obviously be a little bit problematic because when you're expecting large repeated hits, well, you're going to have a bit of a tougher time possibly surviving. Looking at his leader skill as a whole, you have 1 times health and 91% damage reduction. And I like this distribution the most in most cases because a higher damage reduction aspect means that any health modifying juggling aspects is not as detrimental potentially. Like, Seawolf getting his health changed to a different amount tends to be quite dangerous because he only has a 51% damage reduction shield. So having your health, say, fixed at 100,000 means Seawolf is incredibly fragile. A Blackbird team in solo mode getting their health fixed to 100,000 is probably a buff. It's most likely going to be a buff. Your health is going to go up. So you dodge some mechanics innately just because you have this low health, huge damage reduction component. And then you get bonus combos and auto fall attacks. So stuff we all love. And then you trigger based on 2 or more dark combos combos. So their active skill does change fire to dark, water to heal. So there's a good chance you're going to have 2 dark combos all the time. But you should also be running subs who do provide you with orb generation, like the new Monster Exchange from the current collab, Garu. I highly recommend you get 1 to 2 of these cards. Even if you don't have Blackbird, they're just going to be an amazing dark sub for basically any dark team at this point in time. And if you get Blackbird in the future, you'll be so happy. Remember, you can roll Blackbird at any time in the future. Having the collab card Garu is just not going to come on a regular basis. You're going to have a chance to get him, and then it's going to be gone for who knows how long. So definitely recommend picking them up. But either way, Blackbird is still one of the strongest leaders in the game, assuming you have great subs for them. I can think of just off the top of my head, you have Garu, you have New Year's Alatu, you have Halloween Chakil, you have Belial. Right there across your team, you have a spectrum of all the buffs. Basically, you have you have all the resists. You have Jammers, Blind, and Poison resist completely taken care of. You have Time buff. You have an attack buff. You probably don't need RCV buff because you have Gung Ho Belial, who is just basically a zillion amount of healing. And remember, with 1 times health, RCV buffing is definitely on the lower end, assuming it's not 0 times RCV. So Blackbird teams definitely have lots of cards and options to work around with. They can do huge amounts of damage. They play with relative ease, but again, this Godfest, in my opinion, is not so favorable overall, just from a rolling rates point of view. But with that being said, let me know what you think about this Godfest in the comments down below. Do you plan on rolling? And if you did end up rolling, were you fortunate enough to get Blackbird or something else that is truly spicy and meaningful? Regardless of all that, hopefully you all have a truly fantastic day. I wish you all the best luck in your own pad adventures, and happy puzzling.